Every year there is always going to be one movie that people are going to remember as a blockbuster movie. For 2022, we had so many titles released, but nothing came close to Avatar 2. Believe it or not, but Avatar 2 has shattered the box office records by earning over $1 billion in only 12 days, and it is on the path in achieving a $2 billion status in coming days. And the critics are already estimating the $3 billion mark by Avatar 2 as it can become the highest grossing film of all time. I know everyone might be thinking, with only estimating budget of $250 million, Avatar will make a whopping $1.75 billion as a net profit, right? But what if I told you that the movie Avatar 2 has to make $2 billion just to do the break even? Yeah, even the director of the movie, James Cameron, is claiming that the movie Avatar 2 will need to be the third or fourth best earning picture of all time to break even. I know, movies like these really need a high budgets in order to make a successful movies, but $2 billion cannot be the production value, right? This implies that in order for the Avatar to break even, it will need to earn 8 times its budget at the box office. Avatar would need to earn nearly 5 times its budget at the box office, and that's with the optimistic budget prediction of $500,000. For instance, Avengers Endgame costed Marvel $400 million to produce the movie. The film just needed to gross between $1.1 and $1.2 billion to consider it a success. So why Avatar 2, even having a half the budget of the Avengers Endgame movie, still need $2 billion just to have the break even? Let's dive into today's video as I'm going to reveal the economics and why Avatar 2 needs $2 billion to turn a profit. Special thanks to Logical Answer video and articles from the Variety and the Fortune in order to make this video successful. Before we start our video, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so that you don't miss any of our videos. Let's get started. Have you ever wondered how theaters and cinemas make their money from the movies? Well, the obvious factor is the revenue split between the theater and the movie makers. But this factor has more detailed version than the normal revenue split. Just like any other movie, Avatar also split the revenue with the theaters, but unfortunately, it has something more in regards to uncertain two conditions that can cost the movie studios. The theaters and the cinemas are in the business of making all the average movies as profitable as much as they can. Theaters' business model relies on all the movies rather than depending on one single movie in terms to their monthly profit, because theaters have everyday business and have to compete with the other online streaming services. That's why they have the strategic approach in even making an average movie profitable one. Theaters' profit breakdown works like this, as the studio receive a bigger cut on the opening weekend and the first few weeks, and the theaters get a bigger cut after the week 3 or 4. Because after the first or 2 weeks, interest in the movies often drops off a cliff. As a consequence, early on in the film run, theaters may get by on the less profits thanks to high demand for the tickets and the snacks like popcorns and drinks. Late in the film run, when fewer people have shown up and fewer people have bought the concessions, theaters require a larger share. This works out wonderfully for the studios as well, given that they earn a higher split when a certain movie is drawing in the most of its income. However, as the time passes, they are ready to settle for a less cut to maximize the time that the movie remains in the theater. Number-wise, studios typically takes 55 to 60% of income to begin with, the reduced to 40 to 45 at the end of the production. Sometimes this ends up being as low as even 30%. While this is an innovative idea, it's not all that useful for the movies like Avatar, given that it doesn't perform like the average high budget movies. In contrast to Marvel movies, Avatar doesn't often have a huge opening weekends. It's much more of a gradual burn. This is why we read so many headlines early on the staging that the Avatar was being demolished at the box office, when in fact that wasn't the case. With this is plainly obvious when we compare the lasting power of the Endgame and the original Avatar, as the Endgame in the early days of the release, they were bringing 9 figures as attendance to watch the movie, whereas Avatar was struggling in the early days. That's why Endgame was more profitable than the Avatar, as it brings the more profit cut in the early days. But later half, this was almost opposite, as Avatar was gradually having the attendance, bringing 8 figures, and Avengers barely making a break-even point. Due to this, Avatar ended up paying huge cut split to the theaters, making Avatar as a less profitable as more share of the pie was going towards the theaters. We are living in the world where every nations are connected to each other. If something gets popular or gets spread like coronavirus, it will reach the other half of the planet. Take a look at the biggest Marvel fans by the monthly search volume by every country. USA had the most search for the Marvel with over 300k searches a month coming from the States. With 110k in Brazil and India, the two countries are second biggest fans of the franchise. The UK and the France round off at the top 5 biggest Marvel fans with the 90k searches every month from the both countries. This is where the movie studios get into the situation that they have to release the movies to the other parts of the world too, which is certainly easy part, but the difficult part is to digest that the studios has to pay for the premium tax on the tickets sold outside the foreign countries. Which is fair for the other countries too, right? As every country out there are competing with each other economically, and when countries know that they can also get the profit from the highest grossing movies, they're not going to lose a chance. And in the case of Avatar, the majority of the fan base like the Marvel lies outside the North America. The Avatar is really doing amazing too outside the North America. It's the tax that are imposed by the other countries that making the Avatar less profitable, as the international duties can range from 30% to 45% depending on the country. We can compare this tax duties and price adjusted to the Tesla car price, as a Tesla Model Y can cost $37,000 US as compared to $65,000 in America. That's why factors like per capita income, inflation rate, and the tax duties are really affecting the profitability of the movie in the other parts of the world. The world has come out of the pandemic lockdown, but still people are binge watching and streaming shows and movies right in the comfort of their homes. This is where the economics of the profit split between the movies and the streaming services gets more complicated. With the rising inflation prices and recession almost on the doorstep of the economic, most of the people will prefer to wait rather than going to the theaters and pay to watch the latest movie. This is where Avatar 2 gets scrutinized with the profit margin, as the people are waiting for the movie to be released at the respective streaming platform that they are already paying for. Although Avatar franchise is already directly owned by the Disney, and Disney itself has their own dedicated streaming platform, Disney Plus, Disney will not going to release or partner with other competitor streaming services to air the Avatar 2. Due to the war of streaming services between the platforms like Netflix, Hulu, Prime, and Disney, this is another problem for the profit margin, as most of the other streaming services or platforms provide a range of movies and shows for the viewers, and an average Joe will prefer the streaming services that provides more shows and movies over to the streaming service like Disney, which are providing less exclusive content or movie shows. And let's not forget, most of the movies out there are now available through the pirated or a torrent version, which also affect the profit margin of the Avatar too, as if something is getting for free in a certain ethical way, people are not going to pay to watch a movie. And sometimes it can be streaming service too. Although Cameron claims that the Avatar 2 was made under the budget of $250 million, if you have seen the new Avatar, there's no way that it only cost an additional $13 million to create compared to the original Avatar of $237 million production budget even after the 13 years. The amount of detail, the realism movie is providing, the sound and the music all required a high production, and so does the budget. However, more conservative estimates put the film budget at $460 million. And let's not forget, the movie production financing never came from the cash in hand, but rather the financing through the loans and other investors. And if we look at the investor side, Disney stock is down by 16% over the past 5 years. Suddenly, the studio must have raised the funds to make the higher budget movies. It's common practice for the studios to take out the loans to finance a production. With the Avatar 2 taking so long to finish, the cost of this financing method has certainly skyrocketed. And add this up with the recent increase in the interest rate, and you will get to know that the Avatar 2 might have costed more than $500 million in the production, which further proves that the movie is actually into the loss at the moment. Well, no matter what, the Avatar business in the end continues to grow, as James Cameron already decided that he's going to release the other parts of the Avatar in the coming years, and as the prime motive of the business is to stay in the business rather than going bust, which is very unlikely for the Avatar franchise. Thanks for watching the video. If you have watched the Avatar 2, comment down below the best part of the movie that you like. Until then, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel as we break down everything the untouched areas of the business world has to provide. See you next time, and here are some of the recommendations explaining the world of business. Bye for now.